Kshama is forbearance or titiksha, you see. And the Uttama of Kshama is acceptance, not just forgiving. And Kshama also means self-endurance. Kshama also means patience. Kshama also means perseverance. So here, Kshama is the first value. In one of the works by Sri Anna, Guru Maharaj holds Kshama in the highest level. It is the greatest value to practice. To an extent that Kshama or self-endurance and Porumai is basis for all the other virtues to flower. You see, if there is no Kshama, other values can never ever flower in us. And so he says, Kshama Satyam, Kshama Adhanam, Kshama Yogaha, Kshama Tapaha, Kshama Dharmaha, Kshama Jnanam, Kshamaya Priyate Harihi. He said Kshama is Satyam. If you have Kshama, only then Satyam can flower in our heart. Kshama Dhanam. Unless we have this endurance, how can we ever have the space in our mind to even think about charity? Kshama Dhanam. Kshama Yogaha. If we can't endure, how can we go in the path of any yoga? Any first step of a yoga demands patience, perseverance and endurance, isn't it? So Kshama is the seed for the flower of yoga or the fruit of yoga to be got. And Kshama Tapaha. You all know Damodara Leela. But then there is a side story to Damodara Leela. The side story is the two trees in the backyard of our Bhagavan's house. You see, those two chaps were the spoilt brats of one of the richest person in the universe, arguably, which is Kuberana. He was a very good Shiva Bhakta. He did Kainkariya or service in Kailasha. But unfortunately, looks like he didn't bring his children to Satsang when they were young. And when they grew up, they became very spoiled. And these two young boys, once were, in a half intoxicated state roaming around, actually Vivastram. And these two chaps went and fell on Narada Maharshi. You see, not knowing this was Narada Maharshi. Immediately Narada Maharshi looked at them. And generally when there is a shapam, etc., curse is a wrong word for shapam. Because a curse is done in the heat of a moment when you are angry. But here it was not like that. That's the reason why this shapam is different. So our Narada Maharshi saw, who is that who is falling on me, not even properly dressed and totally in an inebriated condition. And then he looked at these two people, Are, Nalakubera and Manigriva. And these are all sons of Kubera, such a great Shiva Bhakta. And they are in this state. Then he thought, why are they like this? He realized, when a child has never faced failure in its early days, never been denied anything in the early days, and never had any constraint in the early days, does not understand the value of anything when it grows up, is what Narada Maharshi came to a conclusion. Then he looked at these two people and said, what do I do now for them? And then he is telling himself, for a person who has never been injured by a thorn, can never appreciate the pain of a second person who might have been pricked by a thorn. If we need to appreciate somebody else's pain, which is what is called compassion or empathy, then we must have been blessed with pain in our life. You see this? Have you ever considered pain as a blessing in the past? Bhagavatam is giving us insights into life like this. He says, these two chaps have never been blessed with early failures. These two chaps have never been blessed with pain in their early days. And he's saying, since they have never been attacked by pain, they are not able to appreciate others' pain, which is a big handicap for them. And so Narada Maharshi said, let them understand what pain is so that they can become proper individuals soon, you see. So finally he gave a anugrahartam shapam. This is the words of Bhagavatam. As a blessing, he gave an apparent curse. Narada Maharshi decides these two boys, they need to stand as trees at the backyard of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, so that they can be released from the implication by Bhagavan Sri Krishna, and by Krishna Kataksha they become Bhagavatas. Then what is the point? You curse somebody, the curse is over, then they go back to their old ways. Then what is the point in cursing at all? You see, Anugraham means there has to be transformation. Cursing means a temporary punishment. So Anugrahartam Shapam appears to be like a punishment, but preparing them for transformation. There, our Narada Maharshi said that they need to forbear years till Krishna comes and relieves them of burden. And he gives a wonderful thing. Krishna won't come without penance of prema. Right? Penance has to be there freely. The world will ask Krishna, why did they get so easily? Penance, they did penance. What penance did they do? Narada Maharshi says, Kshama Tapas. He says, if we are pushed to a corner where it's going to be very uncomfortable for us, where what we need may be denied to us in spite of our best efforts. Yadrichaya. Yadrichaya means I am not planning for it. You see, the example I typically give is I enter aircraft. I was hoping to get a vegetarian Jain meal without onion, garlic. And they say, I'm sorry sir, we don't have vegetarian Jain meal. Then I go to Madhyama. You have AVML? No. What do you have? I have only, he gives all these lovely walking, wriggling things. Then I tell him, thank you. Can I help you with something? Give me a glass of water. That's it. No, I didn't plan for fasting in the plane. And my body also cannot take fasting much. All this I know. And I am now, I have chosen, not forced to, I chosen to have a glass of water because I chose my vegetarianism dharma over filling my tummy. So I was not forced to drink water. I never ever tell myself I am forced, because that's the first lesson our Swamiji taught me, saying that you are not forced, there is no should, there is only could. But remember, every could has a consequence. So whatever I do, I choose. Whatever you do, you choose. But when we are not clear about our choice, we tell ourselves, I am forced to, I am forced to. Nobody is forced to anything at all. Given the circumstances, I choose. Of course, I would prefer a nice Jain meal only. But given the circumstances, I choose not to eat any other meal. Narada Maharshi is giving us, as normal household people who have a job, who have a family to support, who have a stomach to fill, and not go to others to fill our stomach. What is tapas for us? Is kshama. So, edrichaya, if we are put to hardship in spite of our best efforts, if we bear and forbear this hardship, our Narada Maharshi says, that is penance for you. Don't run to the forest. Penance is there right in your office. When you forgot to bring your lunch box, or when the lunch is delayed, or when you have a person who is giving me food, which I am not ready to swallow. He says, Shama means yadrichaya, if I get a hardship and I accept it without complaining or fighting or resisting, till a solution is in sight. He says, that is penance for you. So now Kshama has become practical for us now. Which means that if we can forbear, that itself becomes tapas. So here, our Narada Maharshi says, let them forbear the life of a tree. But it won't be in some random forest, it will be in Vrindavanam. Not only in Vrindavanam, in Gokulam, not only in Gokulam, the backyard of Bhagavan Sri Krishna's time. And so he says, let them actually do that. And Narada Maharshi is telling all this before he gave the so-called curse. Can anybody think for 5 minutes and get angry? Is it possible? So this curse is not from anger, it is from compassion. And this is like an operation which they have to undergo, to endure as a tapas, so that they can be blessed by Bhagavan. So here our Narada Maharshi says, if hardships come our way in spite of our intention, in spite of our efforts, in spite of all our, we may be wealthy, all that, I have a lot of dollars in my pocket, and the aircraft person says only cards accepted. What do I do now? Kshama Tapas, and happily realize I have been given a wonderful opportunity to do penance. Now, can you look at forgiving and endurance in new light? Adhan Bhagavatam. So when you have to endure no annam in form of boredom, and you endure it, Kshama Tapas. Now I want to listen to something sweet, nobody is around. Chup chap, sit down, keep chanting Maha Mantra penance. Why? We are not getting distracted, we are not giving food to our ears by switching on some music, etc. I am allowing that little hardship to sustain. Accept it without actually complaining or resisting or feeling, or without even a Kshama Tapas. And that's why Kshama is the base for all virtues. If we know how to forbear and take it as a blessing. I hope I have convinced you that way, because Swamiji convinced me very clearly on this. And so here Kshama has such a great overreaching power to transform us. And Kshama can only make us human, you see. And that's the reason why our Swamiji put Kshama as the first sterling value to live by as a human being. Kshama. And Kshama itself is penance. Kshama itself is penance if we know how to endure. Understanding and endure. Tolerate, no. Tolerate means I am boiling inside. But I say I bit my teeth and somehow went through. No, that's not a value at all. That's the least we can do. But Kshama means not tolerance. Kshama means acceptance, if possible, with gratitude when unpleasant things happen around us. This means. So, when I am actually accepting the event itself, I don't have any requirement to, mark somebody as a persecutor. You see what I am saying? So, Nalakubera and Manigriva, let me finish this story out there. Nalakubera and Manigriva were touched by the mortar of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. It broke down and Nalakubera and Manigriva came down, and then their prayer shows their penance and the fruit of the penance. Vani gunanu katane shravanau kataya. Now they are not asking Bhagavan for anything else. They are not asking Bhagavan, let me be re-accepted as a citizen of our Kubera Pattinam. No. Let my tongue, which tasted intoxicants, be intoxicated by your guna and kata. Vani gunanu katane. And let the ears, which was constantly listening to only stuff which was nothing related to you, shravanau kathayam. Let my ears listen only to your katha. And let our heads ever bow down to everybody in humility, because you exist in the heart of everyone outside. So their prayer showed how they were transformed by Kshana Sangena Sadhusu. Just 1 second, few seconds of Narada Maharshi must have thought really fast and apparently gave them an imprecation. For a few seconds of Narada Maharshi's Satsanga had transformed them. How? Kshama. Where our Narada Maharshi made them practice Kshama. And that is the reason why here he is saying Kshama Satyam Kshama Dhanam Kshama Yogaha Kshama Tapaha Kshama Dharmaha Kshama Ajnanam Kshamaya Priyate Harihi. When you endure, it actually pleases Bhagavan. Can we actually have a better way to actually please Bhagavan than Kshama, he is saying. So that's why we need to be grateful for it. So I asked myself, was I really grateful for the air hostess to forget my VJML? As an afterthought, yes, you see. And it helped me not even to have even a small iota of resentment towards the waitress or the hostess or the airline company which forgot, etc. And that helps us, isn't it, to make sure that our mind is really available for something better rather than resentment or a little bit of a hatred towards people. So Kshama Tapaha. And if we have that Kshama, our Sri Anna is saying it pleases Hari. And if it pleases Hari, it's as good as chanting the divine name. Which means if I undergo Kshama with the divine name, that actually makes the day for me. See? And that is the reason why he said Kshama Tapaha, Kshama Dharma. That Kshama is Dharmaha, that forbearance, which is Titiksha, and self-endurance, patience, perseverance is Dharma. You see? And that is the reason why it is a penance also for me. So next time when we are stuck, for example, in a traffic jam, it's not for a random reason that they called it a jam, isn't it? See the sweetness in the traffic jam. At least it's called a jam. So here when we actually have a traffic jam, and there are two options for us. We can either take the path of, a lot of non-acceptance, fighting and kicking ourselves or kicking others and creating misery for us and others and also to the steering wheel. We can rather say, this is a chance for me to do penance. Kshama, Tapaha. Because I have no other option. In the front, I have a car. In the back, I have a car. I don't have wings. So, next 1 minute, Kshama, Tapaha. I have been given an opportunity to do penance here by silently embracing, acknowledging and accepting the fact that I am stuck in the traffic, sweetly in a jam. And if possible, you chant the Maha Mantra always available to us. So that makes us, tapas time for us in the road, in the marketplace. And I am not trying to make it up, but this is what is spirituality in day-to-day life. This is what is Bhagavatam teaching us. That in spite of our best efforts, when we are stuck somewhere in an unpleasant situation, accept it and feel grateful. Today, nice time for me to do Kshama. When somebody out of their poor road rage cuts our car, shouts something, honks twice and leaves their place, Kshama Tapas. Anyway, you are not going to switch on your lights and chase him, right? If you are not going to do that, either you confront that person. Even if you are bruised, you are ready to do that. Let's do that. That's okay. Kshatriya spirit, very good. If not, if you have other important things to do, Kshama Tapas. Calmly embrace, you see, and say, this is a wonderful test for me, and let me for the next 30 seconds accept, embrace, acknowledge, and feel grateful that I am giving a test here for myself, right? Generally, test is to be, we feel grateful, isn't it? When we feel grateful, we pay, right? When we feel grateful something, we give something to somebody. And whenever people take a blood test, they are taking our blood, and they are testing our blood, but we pay them, Why? I am grateful that you are giving me a test, so that I look at the result and change myself. That's why we pay, The reason being, we see a value in a test. You see what I'm saying? And our Kanchi Mahaperiva says, whenever you are in spiritual life, every now and then test yourself, check yourself, see if you are really going there. And if we don't have the time to test ourselves, thankfully Bhagavan has created other beings. They are the ones who give us free test. Which means, whenever I am in an unpleasant situation, remember, Bhagavan is giving me a free test to actually do penance in form of Kshama. And that pleases Hari. What else do I want? Would I not feel grateful when I do something which pleases Hari? You tell me. And this is a person who has resentment towards me, but fortunately doing the right thing for me. What is he doing? He is giving me a test. He is giving me an endurance test. We do that in automobile industry also. He is doing a Kshama test to me, and the least I can do is accept it and say yes. Or you finish it off. You go and confront. You report. All that you do. That's an action. But if you have a resentment in my heart and do it, then I am not doing the right thing. You see. For me to make sure that this act does not get repeated on a different person by this person, go report all that. I am not, please don't get me wrong, I am talking only about inner dharma. Outer social dharma is not in my purview. Each city has its own dharma. If somebody has road rage, report, means that's a local law, go and report. But I am telling about our inner dharma, that somebody is giving me a test for my Kshama, and even if I do a little bit, Krishna is happy with my attempt, why will I not be grateful to that person? Once I start seeing in that way. And now do you understand what Bhagavan is saying? Kshama shatrau cha mitre cha tata mana apamana yoho sitoshna sukha dukkeshu samassanga vivarjitaha etu dharmyamritamitam yatoktam paryupasate shraddadana matparamaha bhaktas ativa me priyaha. Aldainga. That priyate harihi. Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita 12th chapter says that my devotee, samashatraucha mitrecha, my mitra means a friend. He said, chalo, let's go to a satsang, let us all sing Mahamantra Kirtan. I am very grateful to him. There is a shatru who comes and challenges me and gives me a very difficult time, an adverse time. How can I see a mitra and shatru in the same light? If we can understand Kshama Tapas, you see. When I look at him as he is the one who is giving me a lovely test of endurance, and if I somehow attempt that exam also, priyate harihi, and if he, Bhagavan says, even to some extent you do all these values, you attempt to do it, I become very pleased with you. And I will treat you as a devotee, and you will never be forsaken. Name bhakta pranashyati. This is how we bring Gita, Bhagavata into our day-to-day life. And this is as simple as that.